everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to the 10th episode of the Trainers Lounge. Wow, 10th episode. Ang bilis, parang kailan lang when we started this show where we talk about anything and everything about L&D. Siya represented itong show na to by Circological Group and CLDP Philippines. Alright. And since magsa-celebrate tayo ng 10th episode, meron tayong pasabog maya-maya. So sa lahat po ng ating viewers today, all of you L&D folks out there, tune in and watch out. Watch out for the surprise that we have for you in this 10th episode of the Trainers Lounge. Before we move forward, of course, sa lahat po ng supporters namin, please like and follow all of our pages. Don't forget to like this webcast and also share it sa inyong page. And also follow our pages, CLDP Philippines and Circological Group. All of our videos here in Trainers Lounge are uploaded as well in our YouTube and Facebook page. So if you missed some parts or our previous episodes, don't worry. You can still have the chance to watch them. Ayan. You can go to YouTube and search for our YouTube channel, Circological Group. Lahat po ng aming Trainers Lounge episodes are uploaded there. And also some other videos about HR facets. Ayan. So, as I mentioned earlier, no? Ako'y na-excite. As I've mentioned earlier, we have a very special announcement. Wow, announcement. Ang laking bagay. Pero hindi, malaki nga naman siya. So, let's check it out. Ano nga ba tong promo na, or ano nga ba tong pasabog na aming gustong ipakita sa inyo? Ayan. So, we have a question for today. Why is L&D important? Comment your answer here during this live episode and get a chance to win a slot for the CLDP certification program. Yes, you've heard it right. All you have to do is answer the question, why is L&D important, in our comment section during the live show. And you will get the chance to be a certified learning and development professional for free. That's a 21,499 pesos worth of certificate or certification. Ayan. And we will announce the winner in our page. Isa lang po. Muntingan na ako madulas doon. Isa lang po. One winner of a chance to become a certified learning and development professional by the CLDP Philippines program for free. Ayan, wala po kayong babayaran and you get to become a CLDP. Oh, di ba? Ang sarap nun, meron kang post-nominal na CLDP. Alright, so yeah. Again, all you have to do is answer the question, why is L&D important? Dapat during the live show, ha? Hindi after. We can monitor those who commented their answers during the exact live showing of this episode. Ayan. So dahil 10th episode na ang Trainers Lounge, we wanted to give back to all of our supporters and the viewers dyan na walang sawang tumututok every Wednesday dito sa aming webcast. Alright. So, syempre, meron tayong guest ngayon to share his expertise and tips, no, in our topic for today. We're going to talk about learning technologies today and paano nga ba ito makakatulong in enabling an inclusive learning experience in L&D. And syempre, pakilala natin ang ating guest. So, we have for today Mr. Ryan Alejandro. And he is a seasoned training and development professional with experience as a help desk communication skills trainer as well in PG Telecom, learning services lead from TELUS International Philippines. He was also the head of training and organizational development of Golden ABC and head of design and development at Teleperformance, and currently he is the senior learning experience manager of Task Us. Besides his experience in training, he is also a certified learning and development professional by the GSD's Council, which was issued last May 2021, and also a Lean Six Sigma Green Belt certified, which was issued to him last June 2021. And he graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Accountancy from Philippine Christian University and also took up Bachelor of Science Business Administration and Management General from the Asian Institute for Distance Education. So without further ado, let's welcome our guest, Mr. Ryan Alejandro, CLDP, CLSSGB. Ayan. Sir Ryan, ayun. Ayun. Good afternoon, sir. How are you po? Kamusta? Kamusta?
Great, thanks for asking. How about you?
That's good to hear. Well, ako medyo excited nga kasi I think you've heard naman na meron tayo special promotion for today. So, one lucky viewer can become a CLDP for free. Ayan, Sir Ryan, kung sa mga colleagues mo, invite mo na sila to watch our episode for today.
Yeah, I'm already PMing them, so
Ayun.
come on.
Di ba? Sayang opportunity. That's a 21,500 peso certificate din. So, malaking bagay na rin siya. And so, to all our viewers, you know what to do. Comment down below why L&D is important. Alright, Sir Ryan, today we're going to talk about learning technology. And I'm actually quite excited because it's something of a very modern take of how we do things in L&D. But also, we have a certain subtopic, no, yung inclusive learning experience. So, I think we're going
Absolutely.
to touch two birds in one stone, ika nga.
Correct.
But before we move on, for our viewers to understand, what is inclusive learning experience?
Sure. So, inclusive learning experience is making sure that
Mm-hmm.
our learners are actually engaged. Definitely, that's number one, right? So, our learners should be engaged because if they are not, then how can they effectively learn, right? So, that's one of those things that
Oo, naman.
we should make sure. It's not just delivering the training just for the sake of delivering it, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
With the mindset that we should make sure that our learners are engaged, our learners are learning, that every learning style is being, should I say, addressed, in that
Mm-hmm.
particular learning, in the design, in the development of our courses. Those should be definitely put in our heads, when we're doing it, when we're designing it, when we're developing it. So that's basically inclusive L&D, or should I say inclusive learning experience for me.
All right, I see. So
Yeah,
it's not just about you delivering it and finishing your job now. Okay, I've done my part.
absolutely.
I've delivered the lesson. It's good. No, it's all about also the engagement of how or the engagement of our participants or students in a way, diba?
Correct,
All
correct.
right, I see. So, oh nga no, actually there are a lot of things that we need to prepare for them to experience yung target natin na gusto nila ma-experience. No? Because sometimes, when we plan for a training, kahit yung simpleng training lang, we plan for it and we try to imagine actually ahead of time how things would be,
Yep,
how will the experience be for them, not just for us, or kung ano lang yung gagawin natin. Alright.
correct.
Now,
Absolutely.
leaning into the learning technology, can we also give a quick summary or quick explanation what learning technology is? Pag sinabi
Learning tech
natin yun, pag sinabi
uh,
natin yun, anong ibig sabihin nun, di ba?
learning technology masyado malawak yan. There are a lot of
Mm,
different kinds of technology that we can use in learning. And some of the technology, I should say, that is out there is being used currently, not just in learning, but in entertainment, right?
mhm, mhm.
And not just entertainment, but graphic design, just marketing. Let's put it that way. So those are the things that technology that are being used right now that can also be used in learning.
I see, alright.
Yeah,
Well, technology, pag sinabi natin, kasi usually isipin lang nila computers,
yeah,
internet, but there are a lot of things pa no, that we can consider as learning technology, and maybe along the way we can actually give light to them.
absolutely,
All right.
definitely.
Okay, I see. Now, well, shall we go to the first question? I guess, can technology really enable an inclusive L&D experience? Yan.
Of course, it can definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So technology can drastically help enable inclusive learning experience in L&D,
Mm-hmm.
and any training aspect, especially in our current situation, and we all know where everything is being done virtually. Diba? Very recently, should I say about 2 years ago? Right, so almost running 2 years now. Or more than 2 years, I think, no? Medyo
Medyo,
nawawala na ako
running
na.
na. May sense of time, medyo
Oo,
naapektuhan na.
nawawala na. So 2020, right? So 2021, and so, of course, we have done virtually, we're all in virtual right now. So the usual approach, and this is one of the challenges that I would say, for a lot of training programs in converting face-to-face training delivery to virtual, diba? So that's definitely one of those. The same agenda program that we're using with a PowerPoint presentation and just deliver it on camp. That's what we usually do, right? And if we are talking about classroom setting, it is easier, as we all know, to manage the learners, to adjust our training strategy as we see them, right? Because they're inside a classroom, we can see how they react to things. We can see their facial reactions and so on. It is easier to manage the learners, to adjust our training strategy, definitely on the classroom setting.
On the classroom setting.
Yes. Based on what we observed, though, as we deliver the training, right? Like what I said. But in the virtual setting, these can be challenging. We all know that. We've run, training programs using Zoom, you know what I mean? Like a video communication we're using right now, which is helping us deliver knowledge for our audiences. But it could be challenging, right? To keep them engaged, to keep them focused on what we're discussing, when we're delivering the training, we're transferring knowledge to them. It's kind of challenging because the strategy that you use is going to be different, but the content that you're using is the same when you were doing it face to face, right? So my answer to that question definitely is absolutely. Technology can really enable inclusivity.
Yeah, but I'd also like to point out when you brought up that classroom setup is much easier because you cannot just only see them, but also, not only see their faces, but also see how they react with their whole body, right?
Yep.
Reading body language is a very important skill that we need to have, especially if we are training people or if we're trying to impart knowledge or develop their skills. Because if we are communicating with them and we see that there's some kind of blockage or maybe some things that they might not get, sometimes they will not verbally say it or even show it in their faces. But the minute you notice the feel, the mood, right? Like, I know when my students are not getting, not getting, but rather are not in the same pace as I am. Then I get to put on the brakes and ask, or maybe to relapse with the topics. But in Zoom, you're lucky. You're lucky if your participants have good quality cameras so that you can monitor at least their faces, right? Or if they're not shy to share their current situation or their experience. But yeah, it was a very big transition in handling classes in classroom setups and in virtual like Zoom or Google Meet.
Yeah, that is so true. Especially just want to add something. So of course the application that we use, limited, diba? So you have like all of the cameras on, yes, but you can only see some. You would need to navigate, right? Yeah.
Only this.
Diba? So kunwari, you have like 20 people, right? 20 folks on your class. And you would and your setup on view settings, let's say, would only be for the one speaking, then you won't be able to see everybody. And even if you set that up on multiple, like let's say cams that you can see in one page, you would still need to click that down button or up button for to be able to see the rest, right? So it could be really challenging.
I guess the thing that we have to consider here, in my opinion, is when I was teaching back then, I used a lot of experiential type of learning or activities where my students, both in the school setting and in L&D setting, I like to give activities where they do something on their own. If you're in the classroom management, it's easy to assist them. It's easy to see that, he or she is not doing it properly, or he's doing good. So at least we can see. And if they need help, we're there to show them firsthand. But when we transitioned into distance learning, that became a bit of a challenge. And now learning technology is the thing or the tool that we use to at least get that level of support or modeling, as we say, for our learners.
Because we can't stop learning, from happening.
Yeah, yeah. And but it's best to have some tools to help it go smoothly.
Absolutely.
All right, now, can you cite some examples of learning technology used in L&D?
Yes. So just like what I mentioned, video application, just like Zoom, right? Google Meet, Blue Jeans, and there are a lot more like GoToMeeting, etc. Which by now I think a lot of us are familiar with. So that's one. LMS is one of those. Learning management system is one of those, like Moodle, if you're familiar with it, Saba. There are a lot of different brands, Docebo, Adobe Prime,
Mm-hmm.
Talent LMS, iSpring, and a lot more, right? So if you're not familiar with LMS, though, with a learning management system, that is where you can upload your e-learning courses,
Mm-hmm.
registrations, let's say, for your synchronous online courses, assessments, what else? And some activities, some online activities you put in to your courses, right? It captures completion of courses. That's definitely is number one because you don't have to check it manually. That's one. What else? You can have gamification in it to enable
Yeah,
competitiveness,
gamification. Yes,
right?
yes. True, true.
You can also put in some reward system
Uh huh.
for your
Yeah.
learners, and a lot more. So you have your video conferencing app, you have your LMS to help you out, right? Um, what else do we have? Uh, you enable. We were talking about enabling capturing completion
Mm-hmm.
with the ability to integrate videos, interactive training contents like flip cards, right? Because there are some LMS who actually do have that enabled inside their system as a feature. Um, hotspots is one of those. Even HTML5 based games, you can also put it in an LMS. um, what else? Virtual reality,
Ah,
image
yeah.
360, 360 videos. And you would need to have authoring tools, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Such as Adobe Captivate, and Articulate 360. So there are a lot of things that you can do with an LMS, but to enable that from happening, you would also need some authoring tools, right? I mentioned games, and you can develop HTML5 games that would make your contents more exciting and engaging. Now, I'm not sure if you have played Zelda, Mario Brothers,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, who doesn't
My,
know though, right?
Minecraft,
But I was
Minecraft,
thinking like Flash games. I
Flash
think
games.
I think
Yeah,
they were the simpler versions of
yes,
HTML5
yes,
games back then. So we often refer to them as Flash games or Java based games, right?
correct.
But I don't think
So
they're functioning now. Right? I mean, they're not
no,
around now anymore.
it has to be
Yeah,
HTML5.
yeah, yeah, it has to be
Yeah,
HTML5. So
it
yeah,
has to be. So if you're playing all of those games that I've mentioned, even Final Fantasy, if you play that, or if you want to go massive multiplayer role-playing games, just like Ragnarok, if you have played Ragnarok, World of Warcraft, old
hmm.
school MU, I'm
Oh,
not sure,
MU.
Guild
Wow.
Wars, yeah. You can too. But imagine having the learners go on a quest, right?
Hmm.
Because most of the role-playing games now, of course, they do have quests, they do have stories, right, inside the game. So can you imagine your learners go on a quest, and that for them to be able to finish the game, they have to beat the boss. But the boss would ask some questions, and they have to answer those
Yeah,
questions.
instead of just hacking and slashing, you defeat it by answering.
Yes. And if you have an MMORPG, that's going to be a lot better. Why? Because you have interaction and team play,
Yeah.
right? And if you do have interaction and team play, you can ask questions from your teammate, right? Inside that game, you can learn from your teammates, right? And and that's just one of those things that can happen inside a game. I don't know if you have noticed, but if you ask somebody who's playing uh, Mobile Legends, let's say,
Yeah.
right? They know the heroes there more than our national heroes.
A bit sad, but yeah, I'd have to agree with that. It's a bit sad. Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So the question is, why not use games in learning?
To our advantage as well, right?
To
In
our advantage
L&D.
as well. Yes, in L&D or in any training program,
Well,
right?
instead of them focusing their time and efforts in games, why not use this media, this tool, to impart what we need them to do?
Exactly. And I've seen it happen. I've seen it
Nice.
happen. We've done it. We have developed some games
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
for a training program. We have great feedback. You know, the learning was way, way faster. The learning curve was shortened. And it was really, really engaging. So that's just one of those. We still have a couple of more. We have virtual reality or image 360 and 360 videos I talked about that can also be used to make the learner feel what it is like to
Mm-hmm.
be in that situation or place, even though it's just virtual. So really helpful for virtual training. Augmented reality, that's another one. So augmented reality where you can integrate to your games. If you play Pokemon Go, right? If you have played that, you know how addictive it was, or it is if you're still playing it, right?
I have some
Um,
friends who are still playing, but yeah, it's
yeah.
still around. It's still around.
So using your phone, you use your camera,
And it
right, and scan
transforms, yeah,
something,
it
right?
transforms your environment real time.
Correct. And your learning application will be able to explain, let's say, if you set it up that way, um, what that is, or show how a certain thing relates to a topic, let's say. It could be used for learning, and it is highly engaging. So it's amazing how this technology can help definitely us transfer learning. So,
All right. Well, I actually have some experience as well, but I think on the other side of the spectrum, I was the one who experienced using this kinds of technology. Although not in L&D, it was basically a recruitment process, right? So instead of them doing the typical
mhm.
one to one person giving you the ins and outs of the companies, they created this like virtual assistant,
Yep,
and they just gave me the site, or I mean the link, and access it on my computer, and there you go. I have a virtual receptionist. Let's call it that. A virtual receptionist giving me pointers, giving me information, and then testing me at the end of each chapter. So it might be a very simple, right? It might be a very simple simulation of things, but
yep,
it was a fresh new look into how things are done. Now imagine that,
exactly.
yeah. Now imagine that applied in learning, which will not only entertain and keep the focus of our students more, of our participants more, but it also give them a new sense of a feeling. Hindi na siya yung typical na lecture,
Yep,
watch, read, thing like that.
absolutely. Parang bot, no? We're
Oo,
talking about
actually.
bot, yeah. Bot is what we call, I should say, we can use bots or chat bots, um, and we call it like invisible trainer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the trainer is not there, but you have your bot right there. So you can ask questions like, let's say, the employees, which we're gonna most likely discuss later on as well. But if you have employees, and we're talking about learning curves after training, right? If you have employees who would do have some questions, they don't have to wait for supervisors, right, and trainers or other support groups, right, to help them out answer
Mm-hmm.
those questions. They can just type it. The bot is always there, 24/7. It can answer the questions.
All right. Well, now we've cited some examples of learning technologies that L&D professionals can use in their training or development of their employee or workforce. Now, let's talk about the pros and cons. Right. So, a lot of things are not perfect, or actually, little
Yep.
things are perfect. But yeah, there's always two sides, and let's talk about the pros first. So, what are the advantages of learning technology when used in L&D programs?
Advantages. Well, it definitely can help. Number one, enable learner participation. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It can help minimize barriers in learning, especially in virtual. Um, and What else? The competitiveness in each of our learners are definitely tapped. So you have games, right? You have games. You have the LMS gamified.
Mm-hmm.
You can definitely tap that. For LMS, it auto captures, interactions for us. Some LMS has, or some LMSs do have analysis built in. So what does that mean? So we can see what they're interested in. If you have like courses uploaded there, like several courses or hundreds of courses uploaded there for learning and development, let's say leadership roles, for leadership roles, let's say supervisor to manage, so on and so forth, right? If you have that kind of thing, and you have like all of those courses uploaded there, and you don't know which ones are being taken by folks or by some target audiences. So there are a lot of different kinds of topics, right, that we can put in there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how would you know which one, um, or which learning path this person is actually taking? An LMS can help you out
Yeah,
with
yeah.
that,
It can
right?
monitor the direction they're going.
Yes. You can also put in your own learning path, or not our own learning path, but you can put in a learning path for them,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
on whatever like program that you're running, right? So, what else do we have there? Um, it can also help you disseminate information faster.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do have like some policies you want to roll out quickly, you can
Just put
use
it there. Yeah,
LMS,
just put it
put it in
there.
there, make sure that of course, the content, the design, is engaging,
Mm-hmm.
and you're all set, right? So those are some of the advantages I can think of as of the moment
I
with
see.
learning technology. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it has also something to do with the current situation of our, well, not just the country, but the whole world, where
Correct.
everyone went home and did their jobs on their, in the comforts of their home. But yeah, technology helped us bridge the gap between that physical distance that we have, right? And
Absolutely.
as long as you plan it well, as long as you create something creative and engaging enough for your participants to, chime in and join in, it's good to go, right? Uh,
Yes.
Also, another thing that I've noticed that is happening right now is it challenged also L&D professionals on how they create their materials or their lessons, right? They now get to choose from a wider range of tools, not just being in the room and delivering it, but now they have the option to gamify it, as you said, or deliver it remotely, things like that. So yeah, I think a bit of a challenge, but yeah, it gave us the opportunity to explore more tools or opportunities to deliver our content. And
Yes.
well, before we move on, let's read some comments here. Wow, meron tayo dito. Sir Alan Keith de Guzman. Good afternoon. Idol ko yan si Sir Ryan. Wow. So
Wow, Keith.
meron
Kamusta
pala tayo
dyan?
fan.
Kamusta?
Ayan. Kamusta po Sir Alan? By the way, si Sir Alan is also a CLDP. Kumusta po? Kumusta
Yes.
po kayo dyan? Ayan. He actually mentioned something, no? Na sinabi niya, an item you build by answering questions. So parang one question is one part of the equipment. Oh, that's
Yeah.
actually a nice thing
Mm-hmm.
to go through kung gagawa ka ng game, no? Ika nga.
Correct.
And also we have here Miss Jacqueline Zuniga Alvarez. Good afternoon
Good
po.
afternoon.
Proud classmate and groupmate.
Hello,
Wow.
hello.
Ang dami po lang. By the way po, in reference, classmate po sa CLDP.
Yes.
Ayan. So you get to connect, one of the advantages of being certified, you get to connect with other L&D professionals and share insights, no, kapag times of trouble.
Correct.
Ayan.
Absolutely.
So sa mga viewers natin, medyo marami yung nagko-comment. Sorry po kung di namin ma-mention lahat. Pero thank you so much for joining us and sharing the show tonight. Yeah, tonight. Technically, gabi na. Sir Jeff also mentioned, Sir Jeff Garcia, good job, Ryan. Wow, ang dami palang
Thank you.
fans ni Sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ayan. So, all right, let's get back to it. So, we've talked about the advantages. Now, let's talk about the disadvantages of
Yep.
using technology in L&D programs.
Now there are a lot of disadvantages, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
as much as we have an advantages, but just want to be candid and true.
Yeah.
you know, especially for those who are going to implement learning technology in their training programs, right? So technology can work, as we all know, technology can work for some, but not for all. For some, it can be challenging, right? So
Yeah.
how comfortable definitely is one of those things. How comfortable one is in navigating pages. But like, let's say if somebody is not really comfortable in navigating a particular web page or a particular application, then that could be a challenge. Definitely, that's one. Mobile applications, internet connection. You know what I mean? Because they would need to install some mobile application if it was built for mobile as a mobile application. That's one, definitely. Internet connection, like what I said, that's another thing. Can definitely cause some problems. So the technology we use um, can be helpful depending on the technical specifications of our learner's equipment, right?
Yeah.
And learning device. How the content was designed is one of the disadvantages as well. It could be an advantage and it could be a disadvantage.
It's like a double-edged sword. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? So I would say we can definitely put that on the list of disadvantages as well. If the content was focused more on the entertainment side of things rather than on the
Yeah. Transfer of
content,
knowledge. Yeah.
yes, then it could be a disadvantage. It can move the focus away from the learning and lean towards on the entertainment side. So we have to make sure that we
Yeah. Yeah.
focus on that as well.
I think I can share an experience with that. I remember when I was in college, one of the subjects that we have in education is learning materials, how to create them, learning technology, but not just electrical technology, but also like physical technology. And one of the tasks that we made is we created this very extravagant puppet show of a uh, yeah, it's literally made of boxes and colorful materials. And
Wow.
when we applied it in a simulation, we spent too much time in handling the material rather than imparting the knowledge or the content of what we're supposed to teach. And that also translates in electronical technology, right? In modern
Correct.
technology, like you put too much, let's say, creativity input or creative input into it that you forgot that content is also the main focus of
Yeah.
what you're supposed to do. Na-focus ka masyado na, nakaka-enjoy ba to? Will they
Oo nga eh.
engage with it? And then you forgot the essence of the content itself. So yeah, that could
Yeah.
be a double-edged sword, I guess. All right, I see.
Yes. Yes. So, yep. Those are the advantages I can think of for now.
And I think I also want to point out that one thing that you said is the ability of or the L&D professional to handle things or to navigate the technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit stereotypical that if you're a bit experienced when it's in age, that technology is your enemy. I don't think so, right?
Yeah.
I
No.
don't think age has something to do with your level of knowledge in handling electronics or modern technology. I think it's about how willing are you, right, to
Yes.
engage
Agree.
yourself into it.
I agree.
I've seen lolos and lolas doing stuff in their phones and their computers that a 20-year-old can do. No, parang so wala sa age, wala sa age.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
I think
Agree.
I just want to share that and clarify na matanda na ako or medyo I'm on the longer side of the spectrum na parang it's too much for me to handle. I think it's not. No, technology is something that everyone can learn. So yeah.
And that is a good point that you brought up there, because I was actually saying or mentioning that for the learners, and you mentioned it now for
For
those
the
who
trainers.
are developing and designing and even delivering the training, right? So that makes a lot more sense.
All right. So all right, now that is the pro. Those were the pros. Those were the cons. Now, can you cite some training programs now or training programs on where we can leverage learning technologies?
Oh, there are a lot of training programs that you can leverage learning technologies. One of those is onboarding. Let's say,
Onboarding. Mm-hmm.
yep,
Yeah, as I mentioned
onboarding.
earlier. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you can have virtual reality interactive videos. If if they can't be on site, like let's say, and you want them to feel what it is like in the office, right? Even before they get there, you can
Yeah.
use
Right.
VR or Image 360 or Video
Mm.
360.
That is
You can,
actually a good idea, bro.
right, exactly. We can also use games for courses or training programs that, if not designed in an interactive way, can really be boring. You know what I mean? So there are some topics that you throw out there
Mhm.
and you let your employees take it or your learners take it, but you know it is boring in nature. I should say it's not gonna be easily digestible, even if it is, put it put or should I say designed very digestible. When there's a huge content, you slice it into smaller contents, right?
Mhm.
But even if you do, if the topic is not really, should I say, something that people would like to take, and they're just forced to take it because it's a compliance course, you have a problem in there. So you have to make it engaging, and gamifying it is one of those. So onboarding, definitely one. Leadership trainings, VR, virtual reality, games, interactive videos, like the site different scenarios, like let's say coaching, managing yourself, managing teams, or managing processes, using interactive content. You can make the learner definitely experience all of it, even without or even that person is not experiencing it yet because they
Oh, I
are
see.
in it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Virtually, they're in it. So you can put in some scenarios in there, like say, if you coach somebody this way, this person would react this way. There's a big possibility. So if you put that in a virtual reality, that person can understand, why this content is being designed this way, or why this content is talking about why you should coach this way. You know what I mean? So there you go. So that's definitely one of those product specific trainings. One, you can use simulations. It shortens the learning curve. Like if you have tools that you would need that you train people on,
Mhm.
sometimes you put it in a presentation and have screenshots in there, and then you highlight the buttons, right? And then you just deliver it. People won't get it immediately unless they experience it. But we can't do that if you're going to do that in a live environment because you're gonna mess up the system, you're gonna mess the data, and so on and so forth. But if you have a simulation and it's guided simulation, you have to click on this and that first before you click on this. If you have something like that, then the learning curve will definitely shorten, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because when they hit the floor, when they see the application, when they see the tool, it will be easier for them to navigate because they have experienced it. So product specific training simulations are definitely one of those. Policies. If you're rolling out policies, you're sending out, like let's say there's a training program you need to set up for policies, animated explainer videos is great for those kind of things. Um, versus them just reading a document, right?
Yeah,
Sending
yeah.
out, usually the policies we send it out, there's a PDF file. These are
Things
the
you need to
bullet
know.
points. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sign it,
And you're good to
right?
go.
And
Wow.
you're good to go. But if you have like quickly, you can create, and this policy is really important. Why not create a quick explainer video plus your document that they have to sign? Then you would know, and there's a big, you're hitting that big possibility that they would understand the policy, right? Versus just reading it and not really sure. You're not really sure if they did
If they did
understand,
it or
right?
if they read it through, they just
Correct.
looked for the box or the line where they signed
Skimmed,
and yeah.
right?
Yeah, that is the dangers of trusting too much for the candidates to follow the process if it's not engaging enough, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's the case as well. And I want to point out an example as well. I'm not sure if you watch streamers, game streamers today. Well, you mentioned
Yeah.
games, so I believe you watch streamers. But
So.
there's this new trend where they play a game. It's a driving simulation, basically, and they pretend that they're bus drivers or jeepney drivers. And what I saw is that the map or the road that they're driving on in the game is actually based on real locations.
Wow.
I think it's I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's connected with Google Maps,
Nice.
where in airplanes they have this game as well. Like they will actually show you an aerial view of a city, and you can travel it, and it will feel like the same distance, the same time if you were to fly an actual plane in
Some
that
flight
location.
simulation.
Yeah, it's flight simulator or something like that.
Yeah.
But now I saw it in a bus form. Like you're driving a bus
Wow.
in Baguio City, something like that. And then I thought to myself, if I were trying to, certify a driver, like wanted to test if they really were able to do this, this is a good way, and it's a cheap way instead of getting a simulation. What they call this? A simulation device like they use in aeronautic schools,
Yeah.
right? Why not just have a desktop who can handle the game, and some controllers that is there are controllers now designed like driver's pit, or like the steering wheel and the gas pedal and the whatnots.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I was thinking, besides of it being a game, it's actually a good way to test someone, like assess someone. Like
Yes.
LTO,
Absolutely.
sa LTO baka na.
Oo nga,
Diba?
di ba?
Instead,
Ano yung apa ka mo dito?
oh, ganun lang na. It's actually the same. But yeah, I know there are still things that you cannot replicate in the simulation, but it's close enough, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
There is a very thin border na lang talaga, or thin line na lang talaga, na papunta ka na dun sa real life. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's one of the things also na pwede nilang look into assessments, right?
And it's a lot cheaper, just like what you said, versus, having
A real car.
like a real car or a bus that you drive, you know what I mean? Just for you to
Oo,
feel, driving it. Yeah.
Well, all right. Now, we've been talking about technologies and all this stuff, the gadgets, the materials that needed. I guess this is a question as well that we need to tackle. Is it true that we have to spend a lot of money in learning technology?
I would say yes or no. Yes. Why? Because there are applications that can really cost a lot. But the features you're looking for are complete. So that's one of those things I would say, right?
Yeah.
All the things that we talked about, the games, the interactive contents, flip cards, and so all those kind of stuff that you can do can be done with the applications that cost a lot, right? And that's true, yes, and no at the same time. Why? Because there are some free apps out there that you can use. You just need to know how they work, how to set them up, right? But that is one thing that you have to do, right? You have to know how to set it up. You don't have to pay for anything, just like Moodle. Moodle is free.
Oh.
Moodle is an LMS that is free that you can set up, and you don't have to pay anything. You just need to have like a good internet connection, a good PC where you can put it, a good server. Let's put it that way if you want. If you have a powerful PC, an authoring tool, Adapt, is free. But like what I said, not all the features that you have that we talked about can be enabled. So yep, it's true that it can be costly, but it also is true that sometimes it can also be for free. Yeah.
There are a lot of options out there, but
Yeah.
it's just a matter of gaano ka ka-diskarte siguro. Let's put it that way,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, we cannot deny that technology costs money, right? I mean,
Yes.
a simple computer cannot run a simulation. Let's be
Yep.
let's be straight with that. A simple computer or a desktop cannot run a good simulation. So that's why it can cost money. Right.
Yes.
All right. Before we move on to our last few questions, let's just read some of the things that our viewers here have shared. So Jose answered our question for this promo, or for today's promo. L&D is important, especially in these trying times where we are facing a global health crisis, since most of the business processes are shifting to remote setups and employees are in a work at home setup, and both are still adjusting. Oh.
Yep.
Having L&D to keep them updated and engaged with others is convenient and efficient, and it can also inspire them to continue learning, think out of the box, and focus on achieving their goals in life. Wow, what a nice sentiment out there. All right, so thank you so
Agree.
much, Jose Marie Reyes. Akala ko Chan, sorry. Jose Marie Reyes, malapit na kasi ang bare months. Ayun, sa mga viewers natin, to all of our viewers out there, don't forget to answer our question for today. Why is L&D important? And get a chance to win a free CLDP slot in the coming months of 2021. Yan. Alright, going back, what are the pain points? Pain points of you usually encounter during learning technology implementation. So, ano yung mga parang struggles?
Madami yan. Implementations.
Nakakatakot yung madami.
But I'll always, I guess I'll say what I can remember. But not definitely one of those is not knowing your target, who your target audiences are. Their equipment, not knowing what their equipments are, their computers, devices. Do they have, let's say, if you want to run a virtual reality, do they have VR goggles? Right, that's one. If you're going to implement, like let's say, an app or a program that would eat a lot of bandwidth in the internet, that's one thing that you have to consider as well. The internet connectivity, and so on and so forth, right? You have to know all of those. If you don't, that's definitely going to be a pain point. Not focusing, like what we talked about earlier, not focusing on learning design, and focused more on the entertainment side of things. So that could definitely be a pain point. And a lot of folks tend to lean towards entertainment, right? Rather than learning. But I'm not saying that you should not, consider putting a little bit more of entertainment in there, because we want it to be engaging, right? So we might want to see and look at the balance between the two, but definitely lean towards more on, the content and learning design of things. So those are the things that I can think of right now about some pain points in implementations.
Yeah, because it's going to be a shift in the way they do things, and like Alan Keith here says, the we are used to doing it this way concept is a challenge.
Yeah.
If they got
Agree,
used to
Keith.
if they got used to doing it this way, and then you introduce a new technology and changes the way they do it, yeah, it could be a challenge sometimes.
Yep.
Right. And what are the posts? Sorry. What are the pains during and post training? Parang nalito ako doon, nabulol ako. What are the pains, during and post training naman?
Ang hihirap naman ng mga tanong.
Kaya yan.
Technical issues, definitely. That's one thing that you have
Technical
to
issues.
resolve, right? Can you imagine, like, when you're running the training and you're running a certain program and you're having them, like, let's say, play a game or navigate through a particular page that you've developed that is really interactive and engaging, and then they started to, like, have some problems on their browsers, closing automatically, not moving to the next phase, lag. You know what I mean? So those kind of things during training that you would encounter, and be ready for it, right? Because it will happen. It will happen. So that's one. Navigation concerns on instructions. That's one of those things as well. Like, what do I have to do? Sometimes even the instructions are there, and it's clearly defined, like step by step on how.
But they still miss it.
They still miss it. And I think it goes for everybody, because even us, if
yeah,
you are
admittedly,
a learner,
I've
right?
had times like that.
Yeah, if you're the learner, sometimes we're in there, our trainer would say, this is how you do it, and you have the instructions in there, read it. You know what I mean? Sometimes we miss it, and it's just so hard sometimes to follow, right? So that's one of those things you really do have to address. Post training, completion. It's not capturing the completion. It is showing that that person is still not completed. So on your LMS app, when after doing the training, you have to ask that person and say, hey, did you complete this? I know you did, I saw you, but I just want to verify because it's not showing here. So So those are the kind of things that we have to like make sure that we address and be prepared of. Because if we're not, then it's gonna cause a lot of problems.
I see, I see. Wow.
Yeah.
With during during training, I think it also helps for you to train yourself to fix problems, no, on your own. Like if you don't have a
Yeah,
team, well, you're lucky if you have a team that can help you during that time. But
that's correct.
right, well, I think it's also best for us to engage ourselves into learning how to mitigate even the simplest technical errors, right? But
Yep.
at least hindi tayo nagpapanik.
Yep.
We don't get fidgety or we don't lose track of what's going to happen or what needs to happen rather.
Correct.
Kasi, ay, naglag ng konti. Ay, ano gagawin ko, ano gagawin ko. Ayan.
Uh,
Naghang ng konti. So, yeah, I think one of the things na we need to look into is also training ourselves to be our own support system. A technical support team, ika nga.
Absolutely.
Ayan.
Absolutely. It's definitely gonna be part of the training.
Mm-hmm.
Things that you encounter, issues that you encounter,
And,
in your
sorry,
life, diba?
in your life. Wow, naging life na. But yeah, kasi I remember during back 2019 na nga ba yun? Nung nag transition na kami. Ay hindi, 2020 na pala.
2020. Yeah.
When we transitioned into using Zoom
Yeah.
and a lot of people are not familiar with it, no? So you have to also become
Mm,
their support system. Eh. Wala
yeah.
lang, parang it helps to know how to fix things. Hindi lang how to use them, but also how to fix them as well.
Even
Alright.
if they bought their cameras, and they try to turn it on, it's not turning on. I don't know
Oo,
what's happening.
nagagawin ko,
Their mic,
nagagawin ko.
diba? Yung mga
Oo.
audio stuff. I mean, man. The beginning, when we were
It
trying
was
to use
rough.
to, it was really rough. Yes.
The first months, eh, hindi man weeks, eh, months were rough.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's now parang part of our normal
Oh yeah.
day-to-day engagements with the training. And let's see what the future of L&D has for us.
Correct. Correct.
All right, I think this is the last question I have for today. Tips on how to prevent or minimize yung mga pain na diniscuss natin earlier.
Um, I was talking about knowing your target audiences.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely know who they are. Send out surveys if you can, and it's really really important if you can. Please do so. About what devices they're using. If you're gonna ask what questions are we gonna put in the surveys, definitely the device they're using, internet connection that they have, um, and like I said, if they're gonna use mobile phones to join the program, like I said, if you do have like application you're gonna run and it's not gonna run on mobile phones, then you have to know, right? If it's going to affect the training or not.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one. Second, get an expert. We're talking about designing the content. Get an expert. We have a lot of experts here in CLDP, guys. I'm
Ah.
I'm letting you know. Instructional designers are here. You might want to get an advice from them. How to design that training. Design it because you don't want it to again focus more on the entertainment side of things. You want it to be balanced. You want them to be entertained. You want them to be engaged, but at the same time, the learning is there, right? So that's one. Make sure the instructions are clear because we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about instructions, right? On how they would use it. Make sure that you do testing, when you're developing that application or when you're doing, or if you, or that content that you're trying to create. Make sure that you do testing. You do alpha testing, within the team. Try to understand and know what those problems are, and try to resolve them. After resolving that within the team, do beta testing. Beta testing would involve pilot groups, right? Different pilot groups and multiple beta testing. When you do that, I know there are a lot of things that you need to do because at the end of the beta testing, there's no such thing as a perfect course,
Ah. True.
right? There's no such thing as a perfect course, but please aim to have a usable product. diba?
Yeah,
At
yeah.
least aim to have a usable product, something that is working, right? That will capture the basic things like capturing of completion or making sure that each topic is discussed within that certain course. Making sure that all of the buttons there are working. You know what I mean? It may not be perfect, but at least it's a usable product.
Yeah.
Um, Make sure you do that with pilot groups, beta testing, testing, and testing. That's and I know that you most likely be thinking right now there are a lot of things you need to do. Yes, but when you've done it correctly, when everything is, should I say, when you've done testing, when you've done the things you really have to do, you would minimize those things from happening. Test it with different browsers, test it with different devices, um, and you can use that content, and you can be able to reach out. There's a lot of work, yes, but there would be a lot more work if that person that you're trying to train did not get it at all. The
Mm,
learning.
I see.
So,
Makes
yep,
sense.
that's it for me for the tips.
Right. Yeah, I think it has something to do with the expectations that we set for the
Yeah.
program itself. It's not just it's not just because you imagine it the way it's going to happen. It's really going to happen in real life. Most of the time, it's not the case. So
Yeah.
yeah, testing is a very important. Not just once, but levels of testings to make it the best version
Yes.
of it. Alright. All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Ryan, for all of those insights on how we can use learning technology to create a better learning experience for our participants. We have some questions here.
Sure.
Let's go with Mr. Jester here. So Jester Biluan says that when is the best time to initiate a self-paced program in the workplace besides distant learning?
That's a very good question. You have to determine whether that training program that you're trying to develop, can be run self-paced. How would we be able to determine that? One, um, is it would it not need some interactions for that learning to really take place? Because if there would be if it would need interactions, then you know what I mean. It will not be pure self-paced, right? You might want to be creative about it and put in some interactions in between, or within that program, you have like a specific time frame wherein they can interact with other learners or interact with the trainer. Or you can make it guided learning instead, guided blended learning instead of just self-paced. So, but if that course can be delivered with and would not need any interaction, an information dissemination, let's say, or a policy, let's say, wherein they can just ask questions and send out those questions. It's already a policy. It's already there, right? If they do have some questions, they can set it out to those people who actually wrote it. Then that's okay. You can make that as a self-paced learning.
I see. All right. Well, Sir Jester, I hope you were able to catch that, and thank you so much for tuning in and supporting our show. We also have here, oh, it's not a question, but rather a shout out. Mr. Nigel Almocera, maayong hapon. Wow, tuning in all the way from Cebu. Wow, layo.
Wow.
Thank you so much for continuously supporting CLDV and the Trainers Lounge. All right. Well, Mr. Ryan, I think that wraps up our show for today. Any last words for our topic?
Uh, None, I guess I would say. Just remember, one of our tasks is to make sure our courses are engaging. So
Mm-hmm.
by making sure our contents have the right context, challenge, activity, and feedback, we can make sure our contents are definitely motivational, meaningful, and memorable. So
All
yeah.
right, there you go. And anything you would like to share or promote to our viewers right now?
We do have some openings. Just let me know. Just send your names
Ayun.
over to Kevin. We'll try to work on having you guys interviewed. Instructional designer. That's what
Oh, so you're looking for instructional designers. So calling instructional designers, Mr. Ryan is in need of them. All
yeah.
right. Well, that's all for today's program. Thank you so much, Mr. Ryan, for joining us this afternoon for a innovative and informative as well topic. And thank you so much din sa pag-share ng mga personal experience mo when it comes to this topic. I know there are a lot of struggles that we've had during this shift in the way we do things. So again, sir, thank you so much. Hope we can have you again sa aming show. Maybe let's find another topic to talk about in the Trainers Lounge.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me here, Kevin.
No
Thank you
worries.
so much for all those who are watching.
All right. Thank you so much and see you next time, sir. No, this is not goodbye for now, pero goodbye for now, pero
Definitely
this
not.
is not the last one. All right. Thank you
Alrighty.
so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, and that was Mr. Ryan Alejandro, CLDP, sharing us his insights and secrets in handling learning technology and how to create an inclusive learning experience. No, it's not enough for us to just teach what we need to teach. It's not just enough for us to present the content of what we want our candidates, our participants to know. It's also important to check their experience. Ano ba yung mararamdaman nila when we do the program? Ano bang malalaman nila, of course, as well. But also we have to consider how things will go through and how things will move during the program itself. And learning technologies are tools that we can use to, spice up things. Para hindi na tayo yung traditional way of teaching na parang discussion lang and hoping for the best that they understand what we're saying. And again, let's not forget our promo for today. Don't forget to comment your answer down below. Why is L&D important? Yan. Just share your answer in our comment section and we will choose one. Isa lang po muna. We will choose one winner of a free certification under the CLDP Philippine brand. Ayan, so napakagandang opportunity na to for those who wants to develop their L&D priors. And if you want to, be connected to a larger network of L&D professionals, CLDP is the way to go. So again, just comment down below your answer, why is L&D important, and we'll choose one and announce on our page who is the lucky winner of one slot for the CLDP certification program. And that is all for me today. Again, I'm Kevin, and thank you so much for joining me in the show where we talk about anything and everything about L&D. This is the Trainers Lounge. See you next week. Bye for now.